Tall people beware. This is Portugal the Man, your favorite band, and these are our 5 essential tracks.
Portugal the Man, welcome to 5 Essential Tracks.
What's up? Thanks for having us.
I don't know, but I've got this feeling that this will just go wherever the music will take us.
Oh, yeah. I haven't thought about this at all. And so I'm going to start out something that, this is just in general, what inspired me to play music. I guess I got to go something off Evil Empire. Man, I'm just going to go like Vietnow. That song is like, honestly, it's not my favorite Rage song, but it's just something about that was just one of the coolest things I'd ever heard. And it's just like, it's a thing that really opened up my mind to lyrics and politics and war and other things in the world that were not a part of my daily life in Wasilla, Alaska, because there wasn't a lot of shit going on in my daily life in Wasilla, Alaska.
Shut down the devil. Shut down the devil's sound. The 4 grams of Vietnam.
I slept 2 hours last night. We had a 6 a.m. lobby call, and Rage Against the Machine helped me get out of bed this morning.
Good morning.
That was your alarm clock.
Yeah. Not my alarm clock. I just like, my alarm clock's normal and nice, and then I turn, and then I instantly like throw in my headphones and go to Rage while I'm packing up.
Underlying tones of political dissent and everything aside, the production on Evil Empire is bone-shattering. That is a whole different level. Not my favorite Tom Morello guitar playing.
No, but just overall,
the sound of those songs in Vietnow, especially.
Dude, the drums, the snare on Bulls on Parade is the best snare I've ever heard in my life.
It's a tooth chipper.
Yeah,
ouch. When you discovered this music, what was the political message in the lyrics something that was appealing to you as well?
Yeah. Well, because I was just angry. I just wanted to be angry or something. Now that's what got me.
I mean, for whatever it was, just like being in a place where political dissent isn't necessarily something I need to worry about. It made me hungry. It'd be like, well, then what's the fight about, and what's this art about? And it made me want to dig deeper and get deeper into that.
Absolutely. Thus, we started a band because we didn't have any outside influence. You know, we had a little bit. We have a little bit from Russia because we were close there, and then we have really rad like Native Alaskan artwork and stuff like that. So we had that kind of influence. But we didn't have Chinatown. We didn't have Little Italy. We had.
Well, what's the music scene like?
I mean, you're looking at it. Yeah, like it was me and him when we were growing up. There was one other band when we started playing music and started playing shows. There was one other band that played original music in the Valley, and their name was Phantomate, and they were instrumental because their singer was in jail, and so but they just kept playing anyway.
They were instrumental because their singer was in jail.
You know, when we first started playing music, it was. You go for the thing that you can get that's on the radio, and that's like Metallica, Megadeth, Slayer, Pantera, Sepultura, all that kind of stuff. Punk took a little longer to come around. And it wasn't until I woke up to my alarm clock radio to go to school one day, and there's this band from Southern California called Agent Orange. They were just doing a session. I don't think they had any microphones. They didn't have any vocal microphones. They were just in a studio, amp one turned all the way up, bass amp turned all the way up, and drums, and they're just wailing. And this is like a classic rock station, basically. And this is the least classic rock thing I had ever heard. They did Pipeline, they did Misery Lou, but they did an instrumental version of Bloodstains with the guitar line tremolo, like
so rad.
So I'm like, what is this? And like I kind of worked backwards. I got myself a copy of a copy of a copy of Living in Darkness by Agent Orange, but Bloodstains was the track.
Word.
It's such a good song that the band themselves have re-recorded it 4 times at this point. But that
Bloodstains is on every Agent Orange album.
Yeah, because they had to have like the Tony Hawk Pro Skater version. They had to have like whatever version, like we're old and we're going to go for commercial success version. But that original Living in Darkness cut is incredible. Bloodstains by Agent Orange. Can't mess with it.
You just told me that there was hardly any music scene back in Alaska where you're from. But if you were like to dress in an Agent Orange shirt or maybe even the Metallica or Slayer shirt, was that something that was around?
Oh, Metallica, Slayer, Pantera, that was huge.
Yeah.
That was there's something about that latitude, I think it's like, same with Sweden and Norway. It's a lot of darkness, a lot of cold, like it breeds a lot of metal.
Yeah.
Like even we'd go to these places at big bonfires, people would burn cars and we just blast metal out of trucks. And but it's like not just metal kids. Like this was the football team was there.
This was like
it was
everyone
everybody.
was listening to this.
And it wasn't.
But I mean, to answer your point, like, we are really far removed, which I think is why I discovered this 1979 punk, like surf punk seminal hit in 1995, 1996. It took 15 years to make it from Southern California up to Alaska.
Totally.
They had to ship it by boat.
Totally,
It took a while.
Took a long time. All right, track number 3. I'm gonna stay on the same. I'm gonna do kind of the same thing that happened there. Like, all right, we're into that kind of stuff, but what kind of led me in a slightly different direction? I'm gonna go with Helmet.
Oh yeah,
Wilma's Rainbow, off the album Betty.
Wilma's rainbow of peaceful colors, the richest drug dealer.
It was that same kind of thing where I loved metal. I'm like, all right, I realize I want loud, I want angry, but I don't always need to yell, and I don't always, or if I do, it can be it can be loud and beautiful.
Yeah, melody is something that could really work as well.
Absolutely, yeah. And so same with that. Agent Orange kind of took me down a punk rock road that led me to the Dead Kennedys and a lot of other punk that I still listen to. But Helmet kind of took me down a heavier, but more like, it was almost like a slow hip hop, like mid tempo, just heavy, but with really beautiful melodies and a lot of power, great riffs, weird time signatures, and he had great lyrics. Like, it was really one of those things that opened up my mind to just different styles of writing, and you don't really have to tell a story. You don't really have to make sense, because it paints a really nice picture for everybody else's imagination. That's what I loved about Nirvana so much, is that art is all about interpretation to me and all about context. I don't even ever want to know what somebody means by a song necessarily when they say it. I was in Helmet pretty much because of like the stuff that Wilma's Rainbow meant to me, and I just connected with it a lot lyrically, and it kind of took me down another fork in music. All right,
I got a number 4 for that. It's the same sort of deal. Like I had my CD booklet when I moved from Alaska. I had my little CD player, and it was like a bunch of heavy stuff and a bunch of punk stuff, and had long, stupid hair. And I was gonna move to the birthplace of grunge and go play some loud music. And then I was in a diner and I heard The Zombies, which is a great 1960s band. I heard Care of Cell 44.
Counting the days until they set you free again. Writing this letter, hoping you're okay.
It's got these Beach Boy-esque kind of harmonies and this big fun melody. It's mid-tempo, it's plodding, it's got the Paul McCartney sort of piano stab thing, but it's about a guy writing to his girlfriend who's in prison for an undisclosed reason. and she's not getting out anytime soon. And they talk about breaking her out, and then they'll be together again, and the things that they'll have, and it'll feel so good. It just sounds like this really safe band. First of all, it's a 60s band called the Zombies.
Which that was cool.
Yeah.
That was
pretty
Slayer
cool back then.
It was the first time that I realized like my parents' music had a sense of humor.
When people ask you about your lyrics, about your songs,
We lie.
Every time.
Okay.
I change my mind. Yeah. Go on.
All right.
You were saying.
No, that's all I wanted to know. Basically, you obviously like songs to be open for any interpretation.
Yeah.
So if I would, but tell me, what's this specific song about?
Depends on how much time I have. Normally, if I'm having a really good conversation, or depends on if it's a fan that I might ruin their idea. Because sometimes the most meaningful lyric will literally be a private joke between us.
Oh, yeah.
And we have a lot of those. And then things that sound funny or sound like our sense of humor is like actually very, very serious things. Is like I've always loved wordplay, and I love having two things mean at least two meanings going into stuff, because it's always more fun. I want it to work on different levels, and I want it to kind of switch things. And I really like having other people tell me what it means. Do you remember songmeanings.com? And there was this kid, I got to find him again. I don't remember his name on there, but he was incredibly smart, and he would write things on and he would go song by song on what he thought each one of our songs meant. And dude, he was wrong most of the time, but his reasons were better than ours. I was like, man, that makes way more sense. And that is he dug in deep. I was like, that is a smart kid. So it's not all good.
This kid on Song Meaning, he might be a great therapist.
Oh yeah,
for you.
definitely. Yeah, for sure.
Strawberry ice cream, the Louisiana Purchase. It all makes sense.
I know, right? Yeah, totally. Since there is two of us, and there are two things like you can't separate our band, and there's no doing that. There's no solo projects coming out of this, and but there's we can't separate these songs either. I'm gonna say Brain Damage Eclipse as one single last song.
Wow,
because you cannot listen to just one of those.
Two sides of the same coin. No, I
Those
agree.
Are those are Pringles.
Great.
Yeah, you agree?
Great job.
All right.
Yeah, all right.
Brain Damage Eclipse. I don't even feel like I have to say why, because this is the fucking end of the best album ever made. And Pink Floyd, Brain Damage Eclipse. It's perfect.
And if your head explodes, dark forebodings too. I'll see you on the dark side of the moon.
So when I moved into the house I'm living in now, the guy that lived in it before he was kind of an older kook. He was an engineer. He worked for Boeing. I live in Seattle, and Boeing Aeronautics is based out of there.
Yeah.
So he had wiring and coaxial cables through every single wall in there. I'm like, I'm going to wire speakers from my hi-fi system in the den into every single room in there. And Eclipse and Pink Floyd in general, that is the greatest way to test the fidelity of speakers in a room.
Yeah.
So
Across the entire house.
You will know something is off so fast. If I ever hear like a remastered version where they tweaked something, I'll be like, what? Honestly, I don't even have to listen to Dark Side of the Moon anymore. I have it in my head fully. If I went to a desert island, they're like, what album would you take? I'm like, definitely not Dark Side, because I can just play that in my head like to a T. I've listened to it 100,000 times, I'm sure.
We've watched it along with The Wizard of Oz at least 99,000 times.
Yeah, totally.
No, that's great.
First lines were.
I'm in. I'm done. This has been Portugal the Man with 5 essential tracks. If you want to see more artists talk about their essential tracks, 4 to 6, I'm guessing, make sure you hit that like button, smash that subscribe button, stick around, come early, come often. It's going to get weird.